And you can do it anywhere. It's so travelable. Like, I mean, I will always have a travel project. So all you need is hoop, threads, needle, scissors. I mean, it's all in a tiny little Ziploc bag, and I can throw it in my car. I have a car project, I have a purse project, I have a shed project, because you never know when you're going to have 10 minutes in a waiting room, 10 minutes in the pickup line. And embroidery is so easy. You can pick it up, you can put it down.
Hi, everyone. I'm your host, Dr. Shafer of Talks with Dr. Shafer. I'm so glad you're here. I'm a physician, mom, coach, musician, author, publisher, and I'm passionate about helping others create a life that is so beautiful that they want to build the most beautiful future for themselves. Hannah is a wonderful guest we have on the show today, and she has done just that with a pivot in her own career. She is the founder of Sherwood Forest Creations, which specializes in embroidery kits, courses, and accessories. A fellow Michigan creator, Hannah is making embroidery and crafting accessible and cool to people across the country, and building a community of crafty people who love creating something unique and special. From YouTube tutorials to engaging social media content, Hannah is bringing back the joy of embroidery and reminding us of the benefits of slowing down and putting our own imprint on the world around us. Hannah, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's such a pleasure. I was so excited to come across your work and your presence online. And I was absolutely inspired by the way you are encouraging people to embrace the craft of embroidery.
Sure.
The craft of embroidery is not something that I am skilled at. My mother would embroider, and I still have a few items that she made, a pillowcase with the most beautiful lady on it and a big dress and a little bag, like your farmer's
Very
market
cool.
bags that you've talked about. I have those items, and I cherish them and keep them because it really strikes me the love that went into creating it and having her fingerprints on it that I don't get from another gift that was just purchased. How do you
Sure.
feel about the art of embroidery, and why are you so passionate about teaching people how to do it and incorporate it into their crafting routine?
I think, well, because of how I started as, I was working part-time as a physical therapist, and my daughter was just about to turn 3, and I was just about to turn 2, and I was just desperately needing like a hobby. And so I feel like a lot of moms get into that time where everything is about everyone else and you have so little time for yourself. And I found embroidery totally, I mean, out of nowhere. No one in my family had ever done embroidery, but the way that it helped me and come out of that kind of, tunnel of motherhood that I felt like everyone should be doing this. Everyone needs something, some sort of hobby to come away with, or something to have just for themselves. And so I think that's why I've been promoting embroidery the way that I do, as in it's something really easy that you can do. It's not nearly as hard as it looks. Like, just jump in, the water's fine. If you don't love it, you don't love it, but at least you tried, and maybe it will lead you into trying something else.
When I think it's a low stakes environment of trying something new, trying it with your hands. I think we all need to do more things that we're bad at first, that then we get better at, right? Like, no one was
Sure.
born an embroidery master. They had to practice those skills.
Right. And I certainly was not born an embroidery master myself. So
I love what you talked about that time of, after you have a child, they're getting a bit older, you're really needing to reclaim your time and yourself in that moment. And I think that a part of that aching for myself and for many of my listeners is you feel a bit lost, not just from yourself, but from a sense of community, because there are so many demands and needs within your home. You,
Sure.
as the person that's kind of holding it all together, you're literally the life force for this person in a lot of a lot of ways. And that's the interesting thing to me about what you have done with embroidery, is you didn't just keep it to yourself as something that you did for fun between doing activities at home for your family or between activities at work. It's something that you not only mastered yourself, but shared with others and built a community. And when I think of that time and why it is a time when many of us feel so out at sea and lost, despite it being such a beautiful moment in our lives,
Sure.
is that feeling of being unmoored from community, which is so important for us as human beings.
Sure. Well, and I can't say that I did it all selflessly. It was also a business. So it wasn't just, just to spread the good word about embroidery. It was also became my career. So, but yeah, I do. I just feel, I, I don't feel so like salesy about it because I do feel genuinely like there's so many moms who don't take the time for themselves to do anything, or they don't think they have any room for that in their schedule in their life. And I fully understand why you think that initially or why you would think that. But as someone who did that, who did find a hobby in those minutes, those seconds that you have in between certain things, it can be done. And it's not, embroidery never felt like a chore. It never felt like, oh, I need to finish this project, or like it was never, eating away at time or just taking time away from me. It was bringing me so much comfort. It was bringing me so much joy to do at the, during nap time or after bedtime or when my kid was having a snack or, whatever. I could pick it up while they were happily playing at my feet. So and then they would see me doing it. And what are you doing, mommy? Now my son, who's 6, embroiders with me a lot of the time, and he loves it. My daughter, my daughter who's 9, she's kind of like, it's a little slow for her. my son is 6, and he loves the thoughtfulness of it, I think.
It is an invitation to slow down and be present. And I think so many of us really need an invitation to do so. And once we do so, the feeling we gain from that moment, it's really something that can't be replicated in our modern lives where it's just go, 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 achieve, achieve, achieve. It's achieving something so very different. And the process is so important. So I love that you're doing that. I love the mention of incorporating not just doing it for yourself, but also when you do it around your kids, you're modeling self-care, you're modeling slowing down. And also, I have to say, I don't know if you've noticed this trend in clothing this spring/summer. And I imagine it has something to do with the economic pain that so many people are experiencing. There is a real push towards this kind of crafty touch to clothing. When we were kids, you would do those patches because there was a hole in something, and you have taught people how to do that, how to take something that looks like it's damaged and actually make it really, really beautiful. Now, even high fashion is emulating that craftiness because I
Yeah.
think that there's a need to live that way right now with the way the economy is. But art emulates life, and now it's becoming very, very trendy and cool, which is fascinating.
Right. Well, you see a lot of the higher end brands will have embroidery on them, and some of it's machine embroidery, you can tell by the work, which is obviously no shade on machine embroidery, but it's just different. But the hand embroidery, I always just think, is that the person who did that, are they making enough money? Are they making the money they should be making for the hours and hours of work they put into that one single shirt or pants or, whatever? Because embroidery, like I was saying, I didn't feel like it was eating away my time because you can just pick away at it whenever you want. But it is a time consuming in the sense of it takes a long time to do a single large scale project. Covering a little hole in a t-shirt, you can do that during nap time for sure. But these like larger scale things that you're seeing from some of the designer clothes, I always think, is the person who made that being paid appropriately?
A lot of skill, a lot of man hours, a lot of just time and love going into that and artistry. Yeah, it's interesting. And I think, when we as people we try new things and we pivot, we take along our personalities with us. We take along the things that we value with us. And as a physician, as a neurologist, so I've worked closely with physical therapists, occupational therapists, speech therapists in my career. I think there's something really fascinating about your transition from PT to embroidery, because PT is also, that is not fast work. That is deliberate repetition, physical work that you invest in over time to get the outcome that you are working towards over often a long period of time, or maybe even the work is never done. And so I think it's really an interesting thing that you pivoted. Can you tell us more about that pivot in your career?
With PT, I loved my physical therapy career. I was not, looking for a way out in any ways. I lost my job while I was on maternity leave. Well, and I was with Jack. So my son Jack was born in February of 2020. I was working part-time, 2 days a week at the time at a local clinic that was privately owned. And so when the shutdowns occurred, our clinic was mostly seeing orthopedic surgery patients. So rotator cuff repairs and that sort of thing. And those surgeries were considered non-essential during that time because they weren't emergent. So while I was on maternity leave, my boss unfortunately was unable to keep the clinic open financially. So she had to close the clinic. So I did not have a job to return to. So that's how I started turning my embroidery craft, hobby, into a business. So with physical therapy, I have actually, over the course of years posting online, I've had so many people reach out who say, I'm a physical therapist and I love embroidery, or I'm an occupational therapist and I love embroidery. But I'm not good at any other craft. And I find that so interesting. I'm not good at any other craft. People assume that I'm like super crafty. I have not a crafty bone in my body my until I started trying embroidery. But painting, anything, no. I look like looks like a 5-year-old did it. My handwriting is horrible. But so there's some sort of connection there with people who are math science oriented, PTs, OTs, and the rhythmic motion of it, the repetition of it. I think even more so with people with cross stitch. So if for those who are not familiar, cross stitch is different from embroidery. Cross stitch is just the X's. Embroidery is more like painting with your thread. But I have noticed such a huge correlation between people who consider themselves not crafty, quote unquote, not crafty, or math science brain actually being very inclined towards being good at embroidery and cross stitch. So I definitely think there's some sort of, you're the neurologist, so maybe you can tell me.
I think there's so much, again, as I said, introducing this topic, I see such strong correlations. And I think there's so much artistry to being a doctor, whether it's a doctor of physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy, doctor of medicine. There's so much artistry there. And just like science, there's so much science there. There's a lot of science and art as well. And I think the real magic happens when we have creators that get really nerd out. I call people who are neurologists, I call us nerdologists, because we are like about as nerdy as doctors can be. And it's like deliciously nerdy, so fun, because we are not just into the doctoring part, we're really into the science. And then also neurologists tend to be very interested in the humanities. If you search some really fascinating articles about medicine and humanities, they are very often written by a neurologist, or often very interestingly by a radiologist, right? So we talk about these kind of patterns of behavior and how you go into specialties. So I think, someone like yourself who really goes into the artistry, but also like, let me teach this to you because there's a science behind this, right? There's a pattern, and we can give you the tools, again, like with physical therapy, give you the tools so that you can do this amazing work, so you get where you want to be. You're not there today, but I can give you a pattern. I can give you a trajectory to go on to get where you want to be. And we can also have you watch the videos, be a part of groups, do things that further encourage and create an environment of growth. And again, I think there's so much likeness to the path of recovering with physical therapy and building those skills with your craft and using your hands to do so. So I think it's so cool. And when I learned, I didn't know you were a physical therapist at first when I found you, but when I learned that you were a physical therapist, I thought, oh, there's some magic here and there's a really good story. And I will say, so for myself, and it was also during COVID, I had a big transition in my career after COVID, after having my child. And, you know, those things are really, really hard. And it can be hard to transition your careers and to be, as a physician who spent so much money, time, energy, years of our lives, blood, sweat, and tears into obtaining those degrees. There's something really beautiful about being unapologetic about it and just being really all in on this new venture. And again, that's something that I really see in your work and in the community you're building.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. I mean, for me, it was sink or swim. I mean, because like I said, I had lost my job, so I didn't, and no one was hiring, people weren't hiring in 2020 to go for physical therapy because all the clinics were suffering because of the non-essential surgeries and things, rightfully so. But I also had no interest in going back in that time because it was scary, to have a newborn at home and to, the germs and all that. So it was basically, okay, pivot, yeah, you have to, what are you going to do? You're going to do something. So, and I was so passionate about embroidery because I was so excited about it, at that time and still now, but I was so excited about it. And I was like, well, I'll just start sharing this and see if other people want to learn. Everyone was stuck at home. So I can send you a kit in the mail. I'll meet with you on Zoom and we'll have a little party and I'll teach you how to do embroidery. And everyone was looking for stuff to do at home. So it was really just the perfect timing, the silver lining in the cloud, of finding something. And now it's been 6 years and I'm still doing this. So obviously it all worked out.
Well, and I love, so when you follow your social media, which is so fun and enriching because you're getting the lessons and you're seeing the beautiful work you do. And you're also getting a peek behind the curtain and seeing you building this life for yourself and for your family. And something really fun you show is the shed that your husband built for you. When did that happen? When did he decide, okay, my dear, we're getting you out of the house. We're building you your own space for creation?
He actually built the shed, much to like most people don't realize the shed is a new build. It looks like it's been there for 100 years because it's built using entirely reclaimed materials. But my husband built it fresh in 2019. So I had just started doing embroidery in January of that year. And in the summer, by that time, I was pregnant with Jack and we were going to lose our spare bedroom, So he said, you need some place to work to have your embroidery. And that was before I was not in any way thinking embroidery was going to be a business or, that was going to be my career. He was just building it for me to have a place of my own to craft in because he has the barn. We have a large pole barn. So it was kind of like a his or hers, type of thing, his and hers. So he built that for me in 2019. The summer of 2019.
So if someone is looking to begin a new adventure and wants to start embroidering for pleasure, where's a good place to start learning about the craft and not get intimidated or kind of get stuck in that feeling of potential failure?
Well, I think, obviously I would direct someone to selfishly would direct them to me to learn from my beginner courses, and I have kits. But I think more than anything, it's where you should not go. So don't go to the dollar store and get a dollar. I see that a lot on the internet now with some of the different things like TikTok Shop selling these things that are being drop shipped from overseas that are come with minimal to no instruction. They come with poor quality materials and obviously not to obviously I want the business for myself, but it's more than that. It's because it steers people away from it. They try it, they get frustrated by it, they hate it, and then they never try again. And that makes me so upset because it's so frustrating because I've worked so hard to make embroidery approachable and make it, show how easy it can be with the right instruction and the right materials. But when you have someone purchase something from the dollar store or, some of these drop shipped kits, or even some of the box stores, even some of the big box stores that sell embroidery kits, they're you're set up for failure. You're set up for to not have a good time and to be frustrated, and you're going to throw it out or put it away and never want to try it again. So, if you're going to try embroidery, you should really try to go with a small business that what you're getting. So, of course, it's probably going to be a little bit more expensive than the $5 kit at the Dollar Tree, but I have stick and stitch patch kits that are as inexpensive as $10, and it comes with the patch and the thread and the needle, and you can stick it on your favorite thrifted jean jacket or your kid's hand-me-down t-shirt, and it comes with a step-by-step video tutorial. So you definitely want something that comes with good materials and excellent instruction, because you don't want to be lost in the weeds and have your thread tearing in the tangles and just be frustrated by it.
Yeah, you really inspired me, because with our book coming out in a few weeks, Shelter Dogs, and we have some really cool merch that's printed on, but I was thinking, oh, how fun would it be to put Shelter Dogs on my daughter's jean jacket or something
Yeah.
like that. So you really inspired me. And I'm not sure. I'm like you. I'm like, ooh, you talked about the people who are a little nervous getting started. I don't know if I can do that, but I want to try. I don't know what is more complicated, text or some. I've seen you do flowers and things like that. What's maybe a good starting off point for a project for people?
I think some people just thrive in different situations as far as even within projects with embroidery. Like where I thrive is florals. So that's my thing. I do florals. I do big chunky florals. I do the big things, but other people really thrive in the details where it's like the really fine line work and it's really symmetrical and that sort of thing. So more of just the way you're geared, but starting off with something that's a little less, that needs to be a little less perfect. So script, if you're not really spot on with your stitching, can really throw people off because they say, well, this S doesn't look like an S, like it's kind of wonky, that sort of thing. So starting off with something that's a little bit more abstract, like flowers, is a little bit more beginner friendly because you don't have to be perfect when you make a flower. Flowers are not perfect in real life, So I usually say start with something a little bit more abstract or something that doesn't need to be perfect for it to look nice at the finished project.
That's great advice. Well, and it reminds me of, I illustrated my daughter's book because she insisted upon that. She has
awesome.
3 other books that were illustrated. I actually have them here. They're like my warm blanket that I keep with me at all times. So
oh, wow, that's beautiful.
They're beautiful, and they were illustrated by a wonderful Bulgarian artist, Sevdalina. And, she used watercolors, and she created the paints herself with eco-friendly materials and used natural materials, right? It was very much in line with the wildlife series that she was doing. And then when Amelie decided that we were doing Shelter Dogs, she'd already raised $9,000 for our local humane society before the book was written, even when we had just started the project. And she said, well, Mom, I'm only going to do the book if you illustrate it, which was terrifying for me because, when you talked about, your skills and how you felt like embroidery was really your thing. I always enjoyed painting, but it was more of when my kids were really small, they would be finger painting and there would be extra paint on the palette. And I hate wasting things.
Same.
So I would take extra paper, the back of a bill, the back of a cardboard box, what have you, whatever was laying around to be recycled. And I would just take the extra paint and I would paint on it. And my daughter would always keep those things because she loved them. And I didn't think much of them. But when she asked me to illustrate her book, she said, well, Mom, you're an artist and I'm not going to do it unless you illustrate it because you need to practice your art. and put your art out there, not just me. And I said, darling, I'm not an artist. And she said, what are you talking about? You paint every day. I see you paint all the time and it's beautiful. And it was such an interesting experience for me. And as a parent who encourages her to write her stories, to put herself out there, to learn those new skills, to do
Right.
things she's afraid of, right? To try all of those skills you want to teach your kids. It's hard when they turn the spotlight on you to
The
say
Uno
like, no,
reverse.
I can't do that. No, I don't have that skill. No, she said, you do. And you'll get even better if you work on it every day. So that was a project we would do after school at night, working on illustrating the 13 dogs and one cat that ended up
Oh,
being in the book. And I learned so much in the process. And it was very therapeutic for me in a way to
oh,
just
sure.
focus
Well,
my
the pictures turned out
energy.
beautiful, so you did a great job in the
Well,
copy you sent me. Yeah,
thank you. I really appreciate that.
I'm
It's
impressed. Yeah.
Thank you. It's a passion project. I'm really grateful. It'll always be something special that we did together.
Mm-hmm.
And I love you sharing the experience of getting to do that work with your son, because that's always something that you are going to share together. And people can, as parents, moms, grandparents, they can watch your tutorials and they don't have to just watch it alone. They can watch it with a young person in their life and be a
Mm-hmm.
part of them trying something new, and also seeing that you're willing to take those chances.
Right. Try something new. Well, and I have talked a lot on my page about the concept of you have to be willing to be really bad at something first in order to be great at it. And I think so many people miss out on so many things that they could be excellent at eventually, but because they're not good at it in the first 30 seconds, it's like, okay, well, never mind. I don't want to do this. Or they think they have to be naturally inclined to something. And like I said, did not have a crafty bone in my body going into that process. So I don't think that there's so much of that natural inclination to the arts. I think, and anything, it's a skill. You can hone it like anything else.
Right. You weren't born a doctor of physical therapy. I
I
wasn't
was
born a
not.
neurologist.
No, I paid for that. I paid for that.
I want to talk about the relationship between arts, embroidery specifically, and mental and cognitive health. Do you have anything as a physical therapist that really has intrigued you about the practice of embroidery and benefits that are similar to other activities that you would prescribe patients when you were treating them as a physical therapist?
I guess embroidery would fall more under occupational therapy because it's more
Mm-hmm.
fine motor skills than gross motor skills. So it's not something that, I would have or that I ever did or could see myself necessarily prescribing someone. But I've certainly had many occupational therapists reach out and say that they have been prescribing the like kind of kid friendly embroidery style kits or cross stitch because it is so straightforward and just the back and forth of it for the dexterity and the fine motor skills and the being able to get it in the exact right square that you need to be in, coming up and down. So not necessarily with physical therapy, but definitely the relationship there with occupational therapy.
I love it. Yeah, I think we have to be more aware of the important benefits of incorporating the arts into our lives, whether we're talking about the fine motor skills, right? Something very discernible and measurable. But even with embroidery, there are significant mental, cognitive, and other physical health benefits that go beyond just the fine motor skills of our actual fingers, right? There's
Mm-hmm.
the neuroscience, there's the wiring, there's mental health benefits, there's focus benefits, there's studies that support that. So I think that's really fascinating. And I even saw a study that talked about lowering blood pressure, which again
Mm-hmm.
comes to focus and
Mm-hmm.
comes to getting back into a state where your parasympathetic nervous system is in charge rather than your sympathetic nervous
Yeah.
system.
I did just see
Um,
something recently about the state of flow because a bunch of people were sending me that article about embroidery and needlework in general and the reaching flow state and that because of the effects on your nervous system and how people who do needlework were you had a longer lifespan. It was
Mm,
some sort of thing that just recently came out about reaching flow state.
yeah.
Certainly something to be said for being able to reach that. And I know exactly what, when they say flow state, 10 years ago, I wouldn't have known what that meant, but I definitely do now as an embroidery artist. Be just when you're just on, it's almost like autopilot. Like you're just going and it's like you could be on Mars. Your brain could be on Mars, but you're just going. Like you're just doing your thing and then all of a sudden you're done. All of a sudden I've been sitting here for 6 hours and I'm done. So that's where flow state, I definitely feel like it reaches you somewhere on a neurological level for sure.
And it's a healthy hyperfixation. So if you're looking for something to
Right.
learn, fixate on this summer, maybe when it's too hot for us, like in Michigan, when it's too hot to be outside, or in the winter when it's too cold to be outside. Unfortunately, we're one of those states where we have a lot of to this, to that. It's nice
Yeah.
to have an activity that you can get into that state of flow and focus in a
Mhm.
quiet setting when you have, as you mentioned before, those seconds,
Mhm.
minutes,
And
or
you can do it anywhere. It's so
yeah.
travelable. Like, I mean, I will always have a travel project. So I have a Ziploc bag with, a hoop and whatever. All you need is a hoop, threads, needle, scissors. I mean, it's all in a tiny little Ziploc bag and I can throw it in my car. I have a car project, I have a purse project, I have a shed project because you never know when you're going to have 10 minutes in a waiting room, 10 minutes in the pickup line, and embroidery is so easy. You can pick it up, you can put it down. You don't have to. You, whereas something like painting, like you were talking about painting, while obviously a wonderful hobby, when you have little kids and you want to do like your own thing, like if you were doing like an easel, that's a lot of setup and tear down and time that needs to be dedicated to that. Whereas embroidery, I mean, I can put down a stitch at any given time. There's nothing to set up. There's nothing to take apart or put together. It's so easy to just work on it here and there, and eventually you'll finish it. So,
And that's a great way to do it piece by piece and pull you into that. Again, I think there's something about that also, that repetition of like, okay, now I'm back in this activity and this activity means it's time for me and it's time where I'm relaxing. That's really valuable. I have to tell you, I had a wild hair when you were talking about being on the go and having your embroidery kit because I was imagining you being an embroidery graffiti artist and like
like
doing
randomly embroidering leaves on the side of the street.
or like, someone falls asleep next to you on the subway and you're like, do, like embroider the
Stitching their
tiniest
dress. Yeah. I
heart or
mean, I
flower.
could. You never know. I could. Maybe that's my new series on social media. Is like the the embroidery artist. Like what is that when someone would call it the nighttime barber? It would be like the nighttime embroidery artist. I come
Oh
by
my
and just embroider your
goodness.
clothing when you're sleeping.
Yes, please
No,
tag
you.
me if you do that. I love that idea.
I take my embroidery on planes, on to the beach, to the pool. You can do it. I sit outside with it. A lot of the times you see me in the back of the shed, sitting on the back porch stitching. It's not just a wintertime, by the fire. While that is lovely, you can do it anywhere and everywhere. It's very I used to take it to the park all the time when my kids were little, like littler, sit at the park bench, let them play. And then I have something to do. And I'm not just sitting there scrolling my phone and having my kids just see me sitting there scrolling. Then they're seeing me, no judgment. If you need to scroll once in a while, I get it. But like, having them see me make something while they're playing versus, um, the attention level is different too. If I'm working on something and they call my name, I'm not as, I don't know, sucked in to the embroidery as you can so easily get sucked into your phone and watching someone's story or, listening to something that in that way or watching something so intently versus if I'm just stitching, like I said, I'm just kind of like on autopilot. So I can still be more available to them and they're watching me make something. So I think it's a great thing to have.
And it's also been such an empowering experience for you. And I think empowering also for your audience to see you take this new skill and turn it into a business and really master marketing and community building. There's something really valuable in us as women seeing other women do that. I think it's really cool. And you had a recent clip where you said it's marketing, Ken. And I really
Yeah.
loved that because, yeah, you're out there, you're doing the thing, and you are building something really beautiful, and you're taking other people along with you and helping share this skill. So there's so many transformative aspects to it. And I was just so excited to talk to you about how you got here, what you're doing now. And I understand you have some exciting things coming up in the future that you are working with your company, with your products.
Yeah, I'm trying to actually, because social media is, it is such a time suck, and it's such a, there's so much to it, whether you're just a chronic poster or if you're a lurker. I call myself a lurker. I don't comment all that much, but I watch other people's things. But you just get, it's so much time. So much time goes into making the videos, to posting them, the captions. I'm on all 4 platforms, and it's been wonderful to build my business, but it's not necessarily sustainable as things are changing within social media. So much more is focused on controversial topics, rage bait, where you walk away from your scroll feeling exhausted mentally and just all over the place. Because one second you're watching a video of like a puppy dancing, and then the next video is like the world's on fire. So it's really hard to manage those things. And because I'm chronically online posting my own things and responding to comments, I'm trying to kind of slowly move away from that. So I would like to do more of wholesaling, and I've been working on that more this year, of getting my kits and my stick and stitch patches, my embroidery products into brick and mortar small businesses. So quilting shops, needlework stores, gift stores, boutiques, that sort of thing, where it's reaching the people who are interested in it, who want to see it, without me having to um, live so chronically online, live so chronically in social media. And like we were talking before, my husband builds things. I occasionally post videos of him building things. He's a handsome dude. He's got a lot of muscles, and people go crazy over his videos. And then I get the Kens, the comments. I get the Kens. You just deal with and I'm sure you've seen at least a little bit of this, is when you're putting content out there. Because I do embroidery, 90% of my feedback is nice, lovely ladies saying wonderful things. But there's the 10% of critical, people criticizing you, or men saying really horrible things. And, it's like, I would really like to just not do that anymore. I would like to not have to deal with the Kens, of social media. So I am trying to work more towards building my business and what feels more sustainable to me.
So important to acknowledge where you've been and also where you want to go. And it's okay. You've pivoted before, you'll pivot again. It's okay
Right.
to pivot when it feels right. It's so important to trust yourself and trust your gut. And you've built something really beautiful. It's evergreen. It's always going to be there.
I hope so. I certainly hope so. And people, say that, and I appreciate that so much. But because of what happened to me in 2020 with my son and having to make that change, you could not have told me. I would never have believed you, 10 years before that I would lose my job in physical therapy, because it's such a solid, like you said, evergreen career. So no one saw that coming. So with the embroidery thing, I just try to live my life now as, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing, and who knows where the Lord will take me. Who knows where I'll go. But I have to be open-minded to whatever it is and continue to adapt. That is my, when people talk about their word of the year, just my word of life is just adapt. Just constant change, adapt.
I love that. I think you talked about state of flow, which I think really resonates with that. We talk a lot about, living life with focus, right? Focusing on the things that are in the direction that you want to go and not focusing back. So if social media is not feeling aligned with where you want to go, you're looking backwards, you're not looking forwards, right? So to get where we want to go, we have to change our focus. And I feel it's so important to live with open palms and to have your legs ready to move, right? Always, it's
Hmm.
again back to that physical therapy piece, right? Like always have your body in that state of flow, be ready to embrace the next step. And I think sometimes when we hold too tightly and desperately on
Yes.
to things that may be sinking ships, it just means that our hands aren't free to take us to the next place, the next part of our journey. So I'm so excited to have had this opportunity to speak to you about the beautiful history and your experience building your business. And we're so excited to be a part of seeing you continue to grow and take the next steps. How can
Oh,
our
thank you.
listeners, oh my goodness, it's such a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
How can our listeners connect with you, take your classes, order products to help facilitate the journey and follow your work?
Everything is Sherwood Forest Creations. So I'm Sherwood Forest Creations on every platform: Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. And then I have my website is sherwoodforestcreations.com. It's all very simple. And you can get started with either, I have a beginner course. I have two different beginner courses, kind of like a mini and then a full beginner course that you can jump in that way, and you can get a starter kit. And that's really like a nice foundation for embroidery if you really want to learn the things. If you're just like a hobbyist and you just want to pick up something and learn on the go, all of my beginner design kits come with step-by-step video tutorials that are meant for complete beginners. So even if you haven't taken the course or you have no experience whatsoever doing embroidery, you can pick up any of my beginner design kits and just learn on the go, stitch with the video tutorial. So just depending on your learning style.
Well, I'm so excited. I definitely want to learn. I have this goal now, as I said, with our Shelter Dogs books coming out. I want to be able to embroider shelter dogs on my daughter's million jean jackets that she owns
Yes,
to
that would
go
be
with
very
her.
cool.
To go with her Shelter Dogs t-shirts. I think that would be really fun, so that as it gets colder here in northern Michigan, she can put it on and still be representing, because that's been really important to her, to everywhere she goes be representing the animals that she's trying to help with her work. And that's the
Oh,
cool thing about embroidery, is you put your style, your fingerprints on it for
hmm.
yourself or for someone you love. So what a cool thing to do. I love it.
Yeah. I think it's just really nice to have something like you said earlier about having something that you know was made by someone else, or no, it was
Mhm.
hand stitched by someone else. So the things I've stitched for my children, I have saved. Some of them they grow out of and I pass on, but certain ones I think, no, I really put a lot of effort into this one, or I really like this one, and maybe like their kids will wear it one day because these clothes are, they'll stand the test of time. So how cool would it be to have like my daughter's daughter wear her little jean jacket with a
Mm.
penguin on it that I made, when I was my daughter's age at that time. So
Mm.
I
I
like
love
that
that.
heirloom quality of embroidery.
The opposite of fast fashion. And we're
Yes.
all trying to slow down and embrace community and embrace self-care, embrace putting our fingerprints on our lives, kind of get out of this fast-paced modern life that is not helping us build our most beautiful future in many, many ways. So we want to advocate for all of the ways, depending upon what it is you're focused on, what it is you enjoy, all of the ways through music, art, embroidery, all the ways that you can get crafty and creative in your lives. Slow down and start building something really beautiful for you and the people you love. So Hannah, thank you so much for being here on the show. It
Well,
has
thank you
been
so much for having me.
Oh, it's been such a pleasure to speak with you and to talk about the amazing work you're doing. And I'm really excited to see how things evolve over time.
Thank you. Hopefully you'll be just shopping in a store in Petoskey and you'll see one of my kits on the shelf and send me a
Exactly.
picture of it.
I
Yeah.
will. I will. I love it. Thank you so much, Hannah. And thank you so much to our storytellers for being here. Let us know what you enjoyed about this chat. I would love to hear it. And what are the crafts that you've incorporated and routines, habits into your days that really help you get into that state of flow, as Hannah mentioned, and just feel like you're building something beautiful? We would love to know. As always, until next time, stay safe and take care. I'll talk to you soon.